Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, classmate. We are the group 5, and our topic for today is corporate strategy, vertical integration, and diversification. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Vertical integration along the industry value chain. Vertical integration is the firm's ownership of its production, of needed inputs, or of the channels by which it distributes its outputs. Vertical integration can be measured by a firm's value added. What percentage of a firm's sales is generated within the firm's boundaries? The degree of vertical integration tends to correspond to the number of industry value chain stages in which a firm directly participates. So, para mas maintindihan natin yung concept ng vertical integration along the stages of the industry value chain more fully, let's use our cell phone as an example. The device is the result of a globally coordinated industry value chain of different products and services. The raw materials to make your cell phones, such as chemicals, ceramics, metals, oil for plastic, and so on, are commodities. In each of these commodity businesses, use different companies such as DuPont, US, BASF, Germany, Kyocera, Japan, and ExxonMobil, US. All of these companies, from the raw materials suppliers to the service providers, comprise the global industry value chain that, as a whole, delivers you a working cell phone, determined by their corporate strategy. Each firm decides where in the industry value chain to participate. This in turn defines the vertical boundaries of the firm. Types of vertical integration. Along the industry value chain, there are varying degrees of vertical integration. Some firms participate in only one or a few stages of the industry value chain, while others comprise many, if not all, stages. Example of that is Ware User, one of the world's largest paper and pulp companies, is fully vertical integrated. All activities are conducted within the boundaries of the firm. Ware User owns forests, grows and cuts its timber, mills it, manufactures a variety of different paper and construction products, and distributes them to retail outlets and other large customers. On the other end of the spectrum are firms that are more or less vertically disintegrated with a low degree of vertical integration. These firms focus only one or a few stages of the industry value chain. Apple, for example, focuses only on design, marketing, and retailing. All other value chain activities are outsourced. To compete with Apple iOS operating system powering its iPhones and Google's Android dominance in mobile operating system, Microsoft launched the Accord in 2012, a smartphone that uses Windows 8, Microsoft's latest operating system. Microsoft, at its heart, a software company, chose to have HTC of Taiwan manufacture the product's hardware. As you can see in Exhibit 8.5, display part of the value chain of the smartphone. In this figure, note HTC transformation from a no-name OEM manufacturer in stage 2 of the value chain to a significant player in the design, manufacture, and sale of smartphones on stage 3 and stage 1. It now offers a lineup of innovative and high-performance smartphones under the HTC label. Over time, HTC was able to upgrade its capabilities from merely manufacturing smartphones to also designing products. In doing so, HTC engaged in backward vertical integration, moving ownership of activities upstream to the originating its inputs of the value chain. HTC has also engaged in forward vertical integration, moving ownership of activities closer to the end customer. Although HTC has long benefited from economies of scale as an OEM, it is now also benefiting from economies of scope through participating in different stages of industry value chain. There are benefits and risks of vertical integration. Benefits of vertical integration, either backward or forward, can have a number of benefits, including securing critical supplies and distribution channels, lowering costs, improving quality, facilitating scheduling and planning, facilitating investment in specialized assets. As noted earlier, HTC started as an OEM for brand name mobile device companies such as Motorola and Nokia, or telecom service providers such as AT&T and T-Mobile. It backward integrated into smartphone design by acquiring One and Co., a San Francisco-based design firm. The acquisition allowed HTC to secure scarce design talent and capabilities that it leveraged into the design of smartphone with superior quality and features built in, enhancing the differentiated appeal of its product. So, there are risks of vertical integration. Depending on the situation, vertical integration has several risks, including increasing costs, reducing quality, reducing flexibility, increasing the potential for legal repercussions. A higher degree of vertical integration can lead to increasing costs for a number of reasons. In-house suppliers tend to have higher cost structures because they are not exposed to market competition, knowing there will always be a buyer for their products who uses their incentives to lower costs. In contrast, suppliers in the open market, because they serve a much larger market, can achieve economies of scale that elude in-house suppliers. Organizational complexity increases with higher levels of vertical integration, thereby increasing administrative costs such as determining the appropriate transfer prices between an in-house supplier and buyer. So let's move on alternatives to vertical integration. Ideally, one would like to find alternatives to vertical integration that provide similar benefits without the accompanying risks. Are there such alternatives? There's good news, there's one. It's taper integration. Taper integration, while one alternative to vertical integration is taper integration. It's a way of orchestrating value activities in which a firm is backwardly integrated, but it also relies on outside market firms for some if its cost distribution. As you can see in Exhibit 8.6, illustrate the concept of taper integration along the vertical industry value chain. The firm sources intermediate goods and components from in-house suppliers as well as outside suppliers. In a similar fashion, a firm sells its products through company-owned retail outlets and through independent retailers. Both Apple and Nike, for example, use taper integration. They own retail outlets but also use other retailers, both brick and mortar type and online. Taper integration has several benefits. It exposes in-house suppliers and distribution to market competition so that performance comparisons are possible, rather than hollowing out its competency by relying too much on outsourcing. Taper integration allows a firm to retain and fine-tune its competency in upstream and downstream value chain activities. Taper integration also enhances a firm flexibility. For example, when adjusting to fluctuation in demand, a firm could cut back on the finished goods it delivers to external retailers while continuing to stock its own stores. Ang maganda rito ay taper integration is that when the demand has changed in the market, our firm could cut back on the finished goods that delivers to external retailers. Yun ang kagandahan kay taper integration. Using taper integration, firms can combine internal and external knowledge, possibly paving the path for innovation.
So, good day everyone. So, my name is Arpon Baltasar from BSBA 3A. So, guys, today I will discuss what is strategic outsourcing. So, based on my idea or information, strategic outsourcing, for example, sa isang company or ako yung manager doon. So, as a manager, gagawa ko ng way or maghanap ako ng information details about kung paano mapalago yung isang business. So, magtatanong-tanong ako sa mga kaibigan kong business-minded and kung paano yung way, kung paano mapalago yung isang business. So, magpapatawag din ako ng meeting sa aking company. So, each member magbibigay ng idea or information. So, yung mga idea nila and information, pagsasama-samahin natin yon dun sa gagawin naming business to provide a high content, better business. So, the second topic is there are various general diversification strategy. So, a firm that is an active in general different product markets and pursues a product diversification strategy. So, for example na lamang dito dun sa palengke, marami dong nagtitinda ng mga kung ano-anong product ng mga ini-endorse nila, di ba? So, kaliwat kanan may nagtitinda. So as a tindero or nagbebenta, gagawa ko ng way para ma-pursue ko yung isang tao na bumili sa akin. So, persuading, di ba? So, panghihimok dun sa isang tao na halika dito, maganda yung product namin. Mas maganda yung quality nito. Mas makakatipid ka pa. Mas mura pa. So, doon pumapasok yung tinatawag nating persuading, kung tawagin. So, the second topic is a firm that is an active in general different countries is pursuing a geographic diversification strategy. So, halimbawa na lamang dito yung mga product ng Amerika, Japan, China, kung ano-ano pang bansa, di ba? So, may kanya-kanya silang quality ng product. So, as a dealer, so, halimbawa na lamang ako sa Amerika, di ba? May mga product ako doon na mga ginagawa. So, para mabenta to, di ba? Binibigay natin yung mga quality ng product natin, no? Nagbibigay tayo ng commercial, yan. So, nanghihimok tayo ng tao na halika dito, bilhin mo to kasi mas maganda yung quality ng product namin eh. So, mas matibay, mas mura, mas standard, pang matagalan. Hindi tulad yan sa ibang product ng ibang bansa, o di ba? So, doon papasok yung pursue mo doon sa panghimok mo ng product. So, pangatlo is a company that pursue both product and geographic diversification strategy simultaneously follow a product market diversification. So, halimbawa na lang natin dito yung mga Lalamove, Grab, Mr. Speedy. So, may kanya-kanya silang strategy para mahimok yung mga customer na tangkilikin sila. So, may commercial sila sa Facebook, sa YouTube, di ba? May kanya-kanya silang strategy para dumami yung mga client nila. So, halimbawa na lamang dito yung pagbababa nila ng mga rate, yan, pagbababa nila ng mas mura na mas makakatipid yung mga customer na magta-try ng apps nila, di ba? So, dun pumapasok yung mahimok mo yung mga tao na mas maganda rito, mas makakatipid ka pa, mas mabilis. So, ayun yung tinatawag nating geographic diversification strategy, both product, diba? So, yun lang guys. So, maraming salamat sa panonood.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, classmates. The topic is all about type of diversification. So the first type of diversification is a single business. It is the advantage of adhering to a single business strategy. It is sticking to your strengths. A single business operates in a single industry, whereas the multiple business organization operates across industries with products or services in two or more. So the next types of diversification is a dominant business. It is companies using diversification as a dominant strategy begin operation in one key industry and then expand the firm by purchasing businesses or creating new firms. The additional firms, while not directly involved in the key industry, typically provide goods and services that enhance the original industry. Next is related constraint. It is less than 70% revenue comes from the dominant business and all business share same product, technological and distribution lineage. With a related constraint strategy, a firm shares resources and activities between its business. Next is related link. Your company is pursuing a strategy of related diversification if you find that multiple lines of businesses are linked with your company. Less than 70% of revenues come from the dominant business, but there are only limited links between. Last is unrelated diversification. It involves entering an entirely new industry that lacks any important similarities with the firm's existing industry or industries and is often accomplished through the merger or acquisition.
Leveraging core competencies for corporate diversification. We introduced the idea that competitive advantage can be based on core competencies. Core competencies are unique strengths embedded deep within a firm. They allow companies to increase the perceived value of their product and service offerings and or lower the cost to produce them. Core Competence Market Matrix, a framework to guide corporate diversification strategy by analyzing possible combinations of existing or new core competencies and existing or new markets as a way to guide managerial decisions in regard to diversification strategies. The first task for managers is to identify their existing core competencies and understand the firm's current market situation. When applying an existing or new dimension to core competencies and markets, four quadrants emerge, each with distinct strategic implications. In this illustration, the lower left quadrant combines existing core competencies with existing markets. Here, managers must come up with ideas of how to leverage existing core competencies to improve the firm's current market position. Then the lower right quadrant combines existing core competencies with new market opportunities. Here, managers must strategize about how to redeploy and recombine existing core competencies to compete in future markets. The upper left quadrant combines new core competencies with existing market opportunities. Here, managers must come up with strategic initiatives to build new core competencies to protect and extend the company's current market position. Finally, the upper right quadrant combines new core competencies with new market opportunities. This combination is called mega opportunities. Those that hold significant future growth opportunities. At the same time, it is likely the most challenging diversification strategy because it requires building new core competencies to create and compete in future markets. Taken together, the core competence market matrix provides guidance to executives on how to diversify in order to achieve a continued growth. Once managers have a clear understanding of their firm's core competencies, they have four options to formulate corporate strategy. And these are first, leverage existing core competencies to improve current market position. Second, build new core competencies to protect and extend current market position. Third, redeploy and recombine existing core competencies to compete in markets of the future. Fourth, build new core competencies to create and compete in markets of the future.
Corporate diversification and firm performance. The extent of diversification is positively related to firm performance, suggesting that diversification creates firm value. Similarly, positive relation of firm to total diversification is found, implying that good performance would enhance level of diversification. It is said that other people create a stable value, just like an organization or groups can be said to be stable if agrees with what they are planning, whatever activities they to make it just fun. When your performance is good, their company will be rise even more if it will be even more improved. Corporate managers pursue diversification to gain sustained competitive advantage. A diversified company has two levels of strategy: business unit or competitive strategy, and corporate or company-wide strategy. Competitive strategy concerns how to create competitive advantage in each of the business in which a company competes. Corporate concerns two different questions: what business the corporation and how to the corporate office manage the array of the business units. If I become a manager in a company, I will be able to overcome the structure of the company even more by practicing, especially if they are doing well. The diversification performance relationship is a function of the underlying type of diversification. A cumulative body of research indicates an inverted U-shaped relationship between the type of diversification and overall firm performance. Here we can see in the shape what each one means, what will help you in a business to be successful one day. What are the reasons why is combined together? Single business strategy exists when a company derives more than 95% of revenue from a single business activity. The advantage of adhering to a single business strategy is sticking to your strengths. For example, suppose a bakery product excellent cakes by centering its marketing and production strategies on cakes. The bakery can perfect its performance, extracting the maximum amount of the profit from each cake it sells. In single business, you are the one who makes the way on investment, how to develop. If you do not understand anyone else, if there is a problem, you can easily make a solution. The sole proprietorship where only the person manager such as a store and many others. Dominant business. Between 70% and 95% of revenue comes from a single business. A company, brand, product or service that a combined market share exceeding 60% most probably has a market power and market dominance. The dominant business focus on goods, sporting goods or outdoor like the conglomerates products. Related diversification, related constraint, related link. Occurs when the company adds to or expands its existing line of production or markets. In this case, the company starts manufacturing a new product or penetrated a new market related its business activity. The related constraint, less than 70% of revenue comes from the dominant business, and all businesses share the product, technological and distribution linkage. Related link, less than 70% of revenue comes from the dominant business and there are only limited links between businesses. Unrelated diversification is a form of diversification when the business add new or unrelated product lines, new market. For example, if the shoe producer enter the business of clothing manufacturing,
they experience diversification discount in the stock market. The situation in which the stock price of highly diversified firms is valued at less than the sum of their individual business units. Diversified firms trade at a discount relative to what those firms would be worth if they were split into separate single segment firms. That is the firm's decision to refocus, divest, creates firm value. And they create diversification premium. The situation in which the stock price of related diversification firms is valued at greater than the sum of their individual units. Because at the most basic level, a corporate diversification strategy enhances firm performance when its value creation is greater than the cost it incurs. And I think this is important strategy that helps stock market to do enhance their firm performance and help for their businesses. Exhibit 8.10 Vertical Integration and Diversification. This figure shows sources of value creation and costs. For corporate strategy, we have vertical integration, related diversification, and related diversification. A corporate strategy means is to determine the scope of a company's activities and the manner in which a company's business processes support company goals. Sources of value creation to vertical integration, we have securing critical supplies and distribution channels, lowering costs, improving quality, facilitating scheduling and planning, facilitating investments and specialized assets. For sources of cost, we have increasing cost, reducing quality, reducing flexibility, increasing potential for legal repercussions. Sources of value creation to related diversification. We have economies of scope, economies of scale, financial economies, restructuring, internal capital markets, and for sources of costs, we have coordination cost, influence cost. And sources of value creation to unrelated diversification, we have financial economies, restructuring, internal capital markets, and for sources of cost, we have influence costs. Sources of value creation. It is important because We create value for customers, helps sell products and services. And it is important to helps their business for more customers and services. And for sources of cost, it is important and useful for their business to know the information in decision making. It has an important role in every organization for the good of their business and as their strategies.
In addition to this criteria, firms may enhance their performance when following a diversification strategy by benefiting from financial economies, including restructuring and using internal capital markets. For restructuring, it describes the process of reorganizing and divesting business units and activities to refocus a company in order to leverage its core competencies more fully. Chapter Case 8 highlighted the restructuring that has taken place at GE to leverage its core competency in management processes and industrial engineering. The Belgium-based Anheuser-Busch InBev recently sold Busch Entertainment, its theme park unit that owns SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, to a group of private investors for roughly $3 billion. This strategic move allows InBev to focus more fully on its core business and to pay for its 2008 acquisition of Anheuser-Busch, which costs $50 billion. Corporate executives can restructure the portfolio of their firm's businesses, much like an investor can change a portfolio of stocks. One helpful tool to guide corporate portfolio planning is the Boston Consulting Group or BGC Growth Share Matrix. This matrix locates the firm's individual SBUs in two dimensions: relative market share, horizontal axis, and speed of market growth, vertical axis. The firm plots its SBUs into one of four categories in the matrix: dog, cash, cow, star, and question mark. Each category warrants a different investment strategy. All four categories shape the firm's corporate strategy. SBU identified as dogs are relatively easy to identify. They are the underperforming businesses. Dogs hold a small market share in a low-growth market. They have low and unstable earnings. Combined with neutral or negative cash flows, the strategic recommendations are either to divest the business or to harvest it. This simplifies stopping investment in the business and squeezing out as much cash flow as possible before shutting it down or selling it. Cash cows, in contrast, are SBUs that compete in a low-growth market but hold considerable market share. Their earnings and cash flows are high and stable. The strategic recommendation is to invest enough into cash cows to hold their current position and to avoid having them turn into dogs. Next, a corporation star SBUs hold a high market share in a fast-growing market. Their earnings are high and either stable or growing. The recommendation for the corporate strategies is to invest sufficient resources to hold the star's position or even increase investments for future growth. As indicated by the arrow, stars may turn into cash cows as the market in the SBU is situated slows down due to reaching the maturity stage of the industry life cycle. Finally, some SBUs are question marks. It is not clear whether they will turn into dogs or stars. Their earnings are low and unstable, but they might be growing. The cash flow, however, is negative. Ideally, corporate executives want to invest in question marks to increase their relative market share so they can turn into stars. If market conditions change, however, or the overall market growth slows down, then a question mark SBU is likely to turn into a dog. In this case, executives would want to harvest the cash flow or divest the SBU. Using internal capital markets. Internal capital markets can be a source of value creation in a diversification strategy if the conglomerate headquarters does a more efficient job of allocating capital through its budgeting process than what could be achieved in external capital markets. Based on private information, corporate managers are in a position to discover which of their strategic business units will provide the highest return on invested capital. In addition, internal capital markets may allow the company to access capital at a lower cost. Until recently, for example, GE Capital brought in close to $70 billion in annual revenues and generated more than half of GE profits. In combination with GE AAA debt rating, having access to such a large finance arm allowed GE to benefit from a lower cost of capital, which in turn was a source of value creation in itself. In 2009, GE lost its AAA debt rating and is now in the process of downsizing finance unit. The lower debt rating and the smaller finance unit are likely to result in a higher cost of capital and thus a potential loss in value creation through internal capital markets.